This episode gave me the most amount of chills I have ever had when watching TV, and I need to talk to you about it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 4 aired in the UK last night, and oh boy was it a journey. This, in my opinion, is the best episode of this season so far, if not the whole series. It was a roller coaster of emotions, and I need to get some things off my chest. I'm sure it goes without saying, but this video does contain a hell of a lot of spoilers. I will not hold back any information, I must talk about this episode. So I hope that you enjoy. If you're new here, I have reviewed all of the other episodes of Season 2, so search around my channel and I will also leave them in the description box for your convenience. I'm out of breath already. So this episode starts with Daemon, who is still at Harrenhal, and he is having these visions or hallucinations, as he was in the previous episode as well. He was imagining young Rhaenyra in old Rhaenyra's clothing, seated on the Iron Throne. It was another young Rhaenyra cameo which we had in a previous episode. I really like that because I really like the actress who plays young Rhaenyra, so I'm glad to see her a little bit more just trickled into this season. It's a good touch. My first thought when watching this scene was, am I deaf? Because I literally couldn't hear anything. But actually, you're not supposed to hear what she's saying. It's supposed to be muffled, it's supposed to be gibberish. So it turns out I'm not deaf, I'm just unintelligent. The scene where Daemon chops her head off and the head is still talking whilst it's on the floor, detached from the body, that is the stuff of nightmares. There's actually a few references to beheading in this episode because the episode starts off with Daemon beheading young Rhaenyra, but then we also see Chris Cole beheading someone at, was it Duskendale where they were? So there's a few references and foreshadowing to beheadment. Is beheadment a word or have I just made that up? Well, it's a word now. So there's a few theories as to why Daemon is having these hallucinations. It is not the first time that we've seen him have them, and they have all been placed at Harrenhal. I have now come to the conclusion that it must be because Harrenhal is built on haunted grounds and the weirwood trees are starting to grow back up again through the castle. I mean, the bed that Daemon sleeps in is made from weirwood branches, and he touched a weirwood tree in the previous episode. They're very magical, they are haunted essentially, and I do think that that's what Alice Rivers was alluding to in her conversation with Daemon. So we are introduced to her officially, and she is an important character further down the line if the TV show is true to the books. So that's really interesting to see Daemon's journey at Harrenhal, and we do see themes and elements of guilt and remorse. That's not typically within his character arc, but now we are starting to see it through the form of these hallucinations. So some very interesting character development going on. So I don't want to talk about Rhaenys because it's too painful, but I'm gonna have to. Rhaenys is a beloved character by all. I don't know a single person who doesn't like her, and if you don't like her, you need to state your reasons, because why? Why? So one of the first scenes that we see of her in this episode is her kind of realising that she is speaking to her lord husband's son. And when she's touching the bloke's face and says, your mother must have been very beautiful, it's almost like she's suggesting that woman is so beautiful that it made her husband forget his wedding vows. He has been unfaithful in that marriage, and therefore there is this child born out of wedlock to somebody else. Oh, she's just such a good character. This was a really hard episode to watch, and we'll get on to why later on, because I'm sure we all know what the main conflict of this episode was. So at the start of the episode, it seems like Rhaenyra had gone to King's Landing to speak to Alicent, which we saw at the end of episode 3. However, Rhaenyra hadn't told anybody, so everybody's wondering, where is she gone? Where is she? She's just kind of left. It's not like she's the leader of one half of the war here. She's just kind of up and left and not told anybody. But she does have a lot of loyalty on her side. She's got some very, very loyal members of her team. That's a massive contrast to the Greens side, where we've seen consistently that Aegon does not have much loyalty to him. And he's left out of a lot. Considering he's the king, he's not very well informed. We also see in this episode that Alicent is drinking moon tea. So she's obviously trying to prevent the possibility of becoming pregnant. So we'll have no little crispy coals running around. Thank goodness, that man should not be able to reproduce. We don't need any more crispy coals. So like I just mentioned, we are seeing Aegon looking quite weak in this episode. At the council table, there is some tension there between himself and Aemond. Those two are clashing like I don't know what. At first, it was like boys will be boys because they were younger. However, now they are both adults, powerful people. They've experienced a lot. If they are clashing now, it's actually dangerous. It's not just kids having a bit of a tiff. It's actual conflict. Within that same scene, it's almost like Aemond is mocking Aegon, especially when he is speaking High Valyrian. Aemond can speak it fluently, perfecto, but Aegon, he struggles. And it's almost like Aemond has the upper hand here. And he has concocted this secret plan with Cole that Aegon the King is not aware of. And this is all to do with the battle at Rook's Rest. This is the turning point for this episode and for the Dance of Dragons. So Aegon was not involved in this plan, which leads him to step up and prove to everybody that he is powerful and he is a ruler. And by being left out, it only motivates him and drives him to go to Rook's Rest and to fight for his cause and to prove himself to everybody. Another thing that leads to Aegon taking those actions is the conversation with Alicent, where Alicent basically tells him that he is a worthless king, leave everybody else to it, sit back, do nothing. Of course he's not going to listen to that. What did you think he was going to do, Alicent? He was never going to take her advice. Of course, that was only going to drive him and motivate him to go to Rook's Rest, which he shouldn't have done, but he was just trying to prove himself. And we've been leading up to this episode by episode. He doesn't have the authority over his council. Even Larys planted that seed into his head in the previous episode, causing a bit of a division within the same side. It's also crucial within this episode that Alicent has officially realised that she is not needed at the council tables, nobody listens to her, and she's sort of in the same position as Aegon. She kind of says that to him. No one listens to either of us, let's just keep out of it. Like, she's not even at the council tables anymore. I suppose it's a mix between not feeling listened to, but also the fact that she is trying to prevent an unborn baby. She's having a lot of physical symptoms going on. So at this point, she's basically a useless character. We also see a conversation between Alicent and Larys Strong, where it is very clear that Larys is aware of the misinterpretation of Viserys's final words, that Aegon was not supposed to be on the throne, and that it was all to do with Aegon the Conqueror's prophecy. So let's talk about the battle at Rook's Rest. Although the Greens at the end of it technically take over Rook's Rest, I wouldn't declare that a victory. Both sides lose. One side irreversibly so. So let's delve into this a little bit deeper. So we start off with seeing Rhaenyra declare that she has one choice, win or die. And that part where Jace says, we stand at the ready, chills, literal chills. We're seeing a lot of character development in Jace actually in this season. Not only have we seen a glow up in his hairstyle, we're seeing a glow up in his character arc. He's becoming a stronger character, a more determined character. But Rhaenyra is like, no, you are not going to Rook's Rest, we need you. So it is Rhaenys who steps up, takes one for the team, and she is the one who declares that she will go to Rook's Rest on her dragon. So I must say, from this point forward, the cinematography is brilliant. The entire production is phenomenal. From the moment that you see both Aegon and Rhaenys, I was going to say Rhaenyra then. Don't pretend that you don't get the names mixed up as well. The whole scene is beautifully, beautifully done. Like the slow-mo shots of them both getting ready with their dragons, with Rhaenyra's voiceover. The whole thing is just 10 out of 10. So this is the first proper dragon battle that we have seen. We have been waiting for this. There is amazing use of CGI because obviously dragons are not real. I don't know why I felt the need to tell you that, I'm sure that you are aware. One thing that I really liked was just the sheer difference in size of the dragons. Like, it really puts them to scale when you see how huge Aemond's dragon is, and the tension when they're up in the air riding their dragons and they're fighting mid-air, and the looks on the faces, like the facial expressions. When Rhaenys and her dragon glance at each other, and there's that bond there and that connection, and they both have this look of understanding. They know that if they're gonna die, they're gonna die together. So obviously Aemond and Cole have a plan here. Aegon turns up and ruins the plan. Aemond has a lot of hatred towards Aegon. I think it is completely obvious that Aemond commanded his dragon to fire when he knew Aegon was there. He did not just direct that at Rhaenys. He knew that Aegon was going to be damaged by that. And at the end as well, where Aegon is on the floor, unconscious, hurt, if it wasn't for Cole turning up in that scene, I wouldn't have put it past Aemond to have finished the job off and to just have murdered Aegon there and then. I can't stand to see the dragons in pain. I'm okay with bad things happening to humans, but the moment an animal or a creature is harmed, it tugs at my heart a completely different way. It was a really hard-hitting scene. Don't worry, I know how all of this ends and I'm not looking forward to it. I know that there is much more harm to dragons about to come in due course. There is a very, very important scene, possibly one of the most memorable scenes from the whole episode for me, and that is that moment when Rhaenys could have fled, she could have escaped, she'd done her duty, but that one look at her dragon and they both come to that understanding of, let's go back. We've given 100%, let's give 110. That is the life or death moment. And I think that she totally knew that there was a high likelihood she was going to die from this. She has died with her dragon. And I suppose if there's one way for a dragon rider to die, to do it with your dragon fighting for your cause is the most honourable death that you could wish for. I feel like I'm getting really, really emotional here. I am aware that these people don't exist, okay? I need to get a life. And that entire scene, I don't think I breathed once through it. I had goosebumps, I had chills, and it was just so powerful. I'm waiting for one of these episodes to be the filler episode when nothing really happens. So far, that's not been the case. I'm really looking forward to the aftermath of this in the next episode, because we now have Aegon, who is probably going to be unable to rule because he will have permanent damage. And that is my review on season 2, episode 4 of House of the Dragon. I feel like I'm gonna cry. What is going on with me today? I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up to let me know, and please leave me a comment below to let me know what your thoughts and opinions were on the episode. Are you enjoying season 2 so far? If you enjoyed my content and you want to see more from me, please subscribe because it's free and it lets you know every time I upload a video. So I will see you next time, or rather you'll see me, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye for now.